Hello. Good morning, thinker. Today is a banner day. I really don't know why people say that, but I'm saying it right now. Sounds like, for a good day. A day of something new. And that's today. We got something new. Hopefully you can tell something a little bit better about the stream. Could you talk about the lighting in your studio? Oh yeah, that's going to be a good topic. But first, I'll talk about the tech in my studio for this. As I move the camera down so you can see where we're working today. Yeah. Okay. So as I put my paints out, because I have a few colors I need to grab. I need some Naphthol Scarlet, Transparent Earth Orange, my paint ringer, and what else do I need? Sap Green, Burnt Umber. I'm starting the stream a little bit earlier normally than the starting time, so I have a few minutes to put out my paints. You guys can watch me put out my paints, and I can just talk about random stuff. Which is much different than the regular stream. I don't normally talk about just random stuff. Being sarcastic there. So I went out and bought I got a capture card, got my capture card in, and I think my camera is so close that I keep bumping it. If that becomes a problem, I have to move it over. But you should be able to tell that the stream, especially the picture or the video of the camera or the painting that you're looking at right now, is much more high quality. I did a quick test live stream. You're usually very focused. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. But I did a test on recording last night, yesterday. Compared it against the previous stream, and the quality was much, much better. So you're seeing a real HDMI signal now, and there's so much more detail that you can see within the painting, which I'm really happy about. So that's really good. Worked really hard on that yesterday. Actually, I was driving around town for like 4 hours. When I can, I like to try and support local businesses rather than just buying everything online. But oh my gosh, it's so much easier to buy stuff online sometimes. Because a lot of local stores don't have these like random things that you need. It's unfortunate. But I bought everything at a local store, local camera store. Have to take some things back because they didn't work. But at least my two cameras, my palette camera and the camera that's on the painting, is much higher quality. Oh, you can even see the texture of the canvas. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really excited. And yeah, I changed up the position of my camera so that literally I think my chin is on top of this camera right here. Like if it shakes, it's because I'm breathing on it. Basically. Okay. Studio setup. That's actually a good question. 4:30 exactly. Look at that. On target today. So before I get into studio stuff, what I'm gonna do is do a little bit more oiling out. I talked about it a little bit yesterday, and probably you can see it. better today, but kind of like how these colors here, the darker colors, are very dull. Hey, good afternoon, Ulan. Or Ula. I hope I say that right. Ula, yeah. I think. And I need to really oil those out because I can't really tell the value or color of those. So just a tiny bit of oil. I'll probably be spreading some of this paint around, but I'm okay with that. It's not completely dry. And I'll just go in there really lightly. And if it's going to be anything like we did yesterday, we basically went over the entire left side and redid the whole shadow area. And I think the same could be true here. Okay, so the question is, could you talk about the lighting in your studio? Yes, that's actually a really good question. It's so important. I think it's overlooked a lot as well. Once you start recognizing glare and backlighting and all kinds of other reflections, reflective light, you start noticing things on your painting, especially when you take pictures of your paintings every day. So the palette holder that my palette's holding on is, the top of it's white. When I close it up, it's white, and down, you can't see the part of the painting, but if you look at my website, a lot of times you can see this huge white glare on the bottom of the painting. And it's where the white of my palette holder, or any kind of bright color, is, you know, doing this kind of glare thing, you know, just like this. Yeah, I could keep this paper towel out of the shot and lighten up the whole bottom of the tiger here. Isn't that cool? That's just glare. Or just reflected light, like a reflected white light. So when lighting your studio, there's all this stuff that kind of comes into effect. And I've constantly tried to do a two light setup. And honestly, it's always backfired. So a two light setup would be, you have a key light. I call it a key light because it lights most of everything. It's kind of like filmmaking terms where it's the front light, the light that puts most of the light on the face of the actor, right? That's your key light. Then the other one I had previously was lighting just my palette, and you know, it was causing all kinds of glare everywhere. So it would light the palette well, but there would be glare on the painting. Yeah, it was just a pain. So now what I have is I have an aperture light, but it's actually called Amaran, A-M-A-R-A-N, 100D or 100X. Let me see. Yeah, Amaran 100X. So it's not too expensive. It's not the Aperture 10D Mark II or something like that, which is like the professional light, but that thing is like, I don't know, it's too expensive. Excuse me. It's much too expensive. And on it, I have a light dome, and this is the Aperture Light Dome SE. I'll have to put these links in the show notes, honestly. Let me see if this gray is actually... Yeah, just as I thought. It's kind of skinned over. Too chunky. So I'm going to pull that off. And I'm going to grab more of it, because that gray was actually pretty helpful yesterday in making up some of these colors. Now, the reason why I've chosen the single light, well, it kind of, well, it stops a lot of the glare, number one, because you'll have glare, but you only have to worry about, you know, the one light. And you can make adjustments so that you angle your canvas a certain way so there's less glare. If you're taking pictures, you can angle your camera a certain way so there's less glare. And I have, right now, I have my single light above, like directly above and to the left of my painting. It's facing down, and I bet you it's about 12 inches away from the top of my painting. So not too far away at all. And I'm using the, what they call a cargo net on the light as well. It's like a, I wish I could show you. I guess I could move this camera around, but it'd probably be pretty crazy. Maybe I'll take a picture and I'll put that up on my website as well. And I'll point you to it after the show notes. So I need to remember, I need to add in the details of my light and a picture of my setup. The other thing that I really like after I really bought this light for, you know, making YouTube videos. But then I started using it to take photos of my artwork. And it put such a wonderfully soft light over my artwork where I could see the texture of the painting. Probably a lot what you see right now. You see a lot more texture in the painting because, you know, now it's a real HDMI signal. The quality is a lot better. And you have this one light kind of raking over the entire painting. Do I have north-facing windows? Oh, that thing. You know, that has never, ever worked for me. Let me see. Do I have north-facing windows? Yeah, actually in the studio, I believe. Is that north? Yeah, it is actually north. I have two big windows here. But the time that I paint is you know, it's dark out all the time. But yeah, north-facing light is good, but you'll deal with the same things. You know, there's this kind of wonderful thing of, you know, being in Rembrandt's studio with all the north-facing light and all that. But he still dealt with glare just like anybody else, right? So that's going to happen. And, you know, what's nice about the north-facing light is you don't have to buy a expensive light. Actually, most photographers, most videographers on YouTube, a lot of them, you will see them, you know, do everything next to a window. Doesn't matter if it's north-facing, as long as the sun isn't coming into it directly. And it just has this beautiful light that passes over everything, so it's actually really nice. I've tried to take photos of my work with north-facing light, like coming through a door, but that's never worked out either. Now I keep mixing up paint here because I know there's a lot of colors that we mixed up in the last session, and I want to get kind of prepared for all those colors right away. Some of these are just little small piles because I won't be using those colors very much, like this purple and the teal. There's not going to be a ton of teal that goes down. Teal is like the accents. This purple is an accent. I'll add in some straight magenta over here. Yeah. But yeah, whenever you're setting up for an oil painting, one light is great, and if you can get the light so it's the same light that's on your painting, that's on your still life, that's on your reference, whatever that may be, that's always preferable, honestly. All right, let's get into this. Really, I'm just going to try and copy what I did yesterday on the left side. I'm a copy artist. I'm copying myself. Does that count? I don't think so. Now, it doesn't have to be the exact same light. As long as you have the same temperature of light on your reference, and I'm talking about like still life painting, or I mean, if you're painting in a life drawing group, it's, you know, and most life drawing groups don't do this. They'll have, you know, these fluorescent lights over the whole place that are lighting up everything, and the model will be lit by a like a tungsten bulb, like a really warm bulb, and then you're getting out oranges and everything to try and reach the color of the skin of the model, because there's a blue light on your canvas and then there's an orange light on your model. So if you have a still life, make sure that what you're lighting your canvas with, the color temperature, which is in Kelvin, like 5000 K is what I have this light on. That's a little bit warmer than like daylight. Daylight is very cool, unless you're at the golden hour, which is, you know, dawn and dusk basically. So if I like 5000 K, then I put my camera at that. If I had a multi light setup, I would set all of them to 5000 K. There's bulbs that you can get at the store, at any hardware store now, and just look at them. They'll say something like, you know, natural light or whatever, and get something around 5000 K. It'll probably be, you know, 5600 or maybe a little bit above that, but don't go all the way up into the 6000s, because then you're getting into a very blue light that they use for growing plants and things like this. I mean, you could do that as long as you got the same light on your canvas as you have on your still life. Now, here's a pro tip for the kitchen. Always put daylight bulbs in your kitchen. It makes the food look just so much better. You know, that natural light. You know, we move around a lot, and it's one of the first things I do is I go around the entire home or apartment that we're in, and I'll pull out all the light bulbs. And I have a set of light bulbs that we bring with us everywhere. And I'll switch them around, you know, for certain living areas. I'll use a very warm light. If it's like, okay, this is usually the place that we go to relax at the end of the day, it'll be a very warm light. The bedroom, our bedroom is only lit by very warm light. Actually, red light. Honestly, it's best for sleeping. And in the kitchen, I'll put blue lights in there. Does that answer all your questions as far as like lighting setup for a studio, at least? I mean, it's very... I haven't got deep into the nitty gritty of, you know, the angles that you want to put your painting against the light and all this other stuff. And as I'm watching the stream, I think I'm dropping frames. So if it looks like that I'm doing something, then I jerk around, like all of a sudden I'm doing something else, let me know. You always set up your palette the same way, colors in the same position. Is there a reason you have the colors in the positions you have them? That's a really good question too. And the answer is yes. And I would suggest that everyone do that. Do exactly like I do. No, I'm kidding. The important part about that is to set up your palette in the same way every time, whatever way that is. So whatever way you choose, do it the same time. And I prefer that it's set up in, a certain way, a specific way that's based in, some aspect of color. So for example, I'm dealing, the palette I have is almost a split primary with a preference toward transparency. But I really set up my palette from warm to cool in the most part, light to dark, warm to cool. So, I mean, my white really should be over here underneath my yellow, but I have a lot of space for several other yellows. And then it goes gradually darker, except I have a couple extra colors over here, and it normally goes gradually warmer. If I wanted to do, if I wanted to be very a stickler about that, the burnt umber would be over here next to the transparent earth orange because they're the same color. It's just one is less saturated than the other. And this is where my palette camera turns off. Okay, we just have to wait for that to come back on. It should come back on in a second, I think. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, I'm dealing with that. Sorry. That's one of the intricacies of this new setup, is every 30 minutes. Actually, it wasn't even 30 minutes. It was 18 minutes. And that turned off. Oh, frustrating. I'll have to replace that camera, unfortunately. But regardless of the way you set up your palette, just do it the same way every time. And the reason why I say that is not because, I'm a neat freak or anything like, wow, that was a really terrible way of saying it. It's not because I'm very particular about stuff, which I am. It's because of friction. You want to remove all friction for your brain while you're painting. While you're doing anything, while you're drawing, watercolor, gouache, sculpting, no matter what. If you have to constantly hunt for, okay, well, where's the color at today? Where's my mixtures at today? Where's this at today? It's always different. You're going to be challenging your brain, and not in the best way possible. You want to challenge your brain in the complexity of your painting and the focus that you need to complete it, not in how to, where to find the paints every day. So my setup, not only is my setup the same in the studio, but if I went anywhere, I would use the same setup. The only time it changes is when I'm on a vertical canvas like I am now, and my setup doesn't work very well with a vertical canvas, a large vertical canvas. I have to use 2 easels for it. But basically, other than that, my setup is the same. Is the jerkiness due to the higher resolution you're shooting at? Yeah. So I'm shooting at a higher resolution, and I believe I'm just dropping some frames. So I have to adjust I have to read up on how to adjust the stream. So that's fixed. You know, there's so much detail in this. It's ridiculous. There's so much technical stuff that you have to get into. It's no wonder that you don't see a lot of artists doing this. I was thinking about that yesterday. I mean, heck, just buying a camera. There's like a million different things that you have to think about. You know, what sensor size do you want? Is it APS-C? Is it full frame? You know, because that really depends on the cost. Do you want mirrorless? Well, you know, if you're going to do a talking head, you have to get like a flip out screen. You have to make sure that the camera can track your eye really well. Depending on what camera you buy, you have to get the right lenses. And not only that, you know, there's a lot of lenses that will fit your camera, but at the same time, some of them, if you have a full frame camera or an APS-C sensor, some lenses will crop that sensor in to a certain percentage. And so you have to think about that, you know, so you have to get the right lenses. And then lenses are the most important thing, and they're the most expensive. And that's just buying the camera. That's not like all the craziness that I have had to go through just to hook it up to the stream so I get good quality. You know, I thought I was done. USB straight into my computer, and then buy this software from Canon so multiple cameras can get into my computer at the same time. And then, you know, after a while, I keep looking at it and I'm like, you know what, this quality is terrible. This is not 1080p. And then you read up on it, and in hidden places, it's like, oh no, it says 1080p for the cam links, for the what is it, the whatever Canon streaming pro software or whatever. But when it goes through the USB, you know, it's not 1080p anymore. It's like, what the heck? It's 460 something or another. And then, you know, I have an older camera shooting my palette, and I do an upgrade on the setup, and then all of a sudden it starts cutting off every 20 minutes or less. I experienced that yesterday, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to deal with that. So it's always one thing after the other. I think what I need to do is just create a whole bunch of videos on everything a person would need to do exactly what I'm doing. As far as a stream is concerned, as far as lighting, everything. Heck, that would be its own huge course. Take me months to record everything. Probably be better just to do it, you know, all on YouTube videos. Just give it away for free. So the next thing I have to deal with is do research and figure out, you know, here I am complaining on stream. Sorry guys. I'll do the research and I'll figure out how to fix the jerkiness. Because I know I'm dropping some frames. Let's just hope it's not my internet connection. Because that's another piece of the puzzle. I'm gonna cry. Okay, back to the painting. We're actually gonna talk about the painting right now. The first thing I see that's a problem is I don't have enough. Well, I do have enough on this side. When I line it up with the body, yeah, that comes out far enough. Yeah, it doesn't look right. The hair's on the right side of the tiger's head. The shape of this bunch of hair needs to change. It's a bit more prominent. Goes further in, like right there. And I remember yesterday I was taking just burnt umber straight out of the tube and adding it in to this side, and it was looking really good, especially for these areas. What I like is that this like chunk of hair here has got a really green cast to it. So I'm going straight sap green right there. And so does the other one. I mean, that's not too bad already. I think your style, splotchism, is between impressionistic painterliness and hyperrealism. What do you think? Yeah, I would agree with that. Because I get so stupid detailed. Yet, it's not. It's kind of one of those strangeness of like amalgamation of two things together. It's funny that it's kind of become my style, I guess. Which now I feel like David Bowie and I just want to change. Okay, done that. Now let's go to something else. No, I'm going to be doing this for a while because I really enjoy it. But no, I can agree with you. I think hyperrealism is a little bit over the top as far as, you know, that descriptor. I could say photorealism, because it doesn't go as crazy as hyperrealism, which is kind of funny, you know, the difference, the very subtle difference in the definition of those two. And I've had videos where I've kind of denigrated people that get so freaking detailed. And here I am doing the same thing because I enjoy it. I'm going to apologize to all the people that I've looked at their paintings and I've gone, wow, well, that's just, you know, why don't you just take a photo? I'm going to start saying that to me, like, geez, Chris, why don't you just take a photo, okay? Stop doing, you know, stop beating it to death, Chris. Leave some for the viewer to actually come up with themselves. I think that's a better way of saying it. You know, that's what Impressionism is. That's what these abstractions, you know, are. They ask the viewer to come up with, to bring their own experience to the table. Yeah, actually, when you put it that way, thinker, yeah, I'll definitely own that. I kind of like it. Own the idea of it. You know, one thing I'm seeing, here's how I do measurement, guys. And I think this is important to understand, especially when you get deeper into a painting and the drawing's all gone. There's no drawing, right? I'll look at my reference and let's say, you know, I feel like this chin is too wide. So I'll look at the general left side of this chin and I'll do a vertical line straight up. And I'll see where it intersects. Let's say it goes, you know, a little bit to the right of this eye. You know, and it's kind of like a guess, you know, or you're in between, in this channel where left of the nose, right of the eye. And that's where we end. And then I'll go to the reference. And I'm basically in the same spot. Maybe actually... Well, no, it could come over just a little bit. Some of these hairs that are sticking out a bit further. I can keep those hairs that are just kind of, you know, doing their thing, like gray beards do. Which is really annoying, by the way. I was looking at myself in the mirror the other day. Talking about myself again, sorry guys. And I realized that I'm almost all gray in my beard now. And the funny thing about gray hairs is they do whatever the hell they want to do. I mean, not only do they grow faster, but, you know, they'll just stick out in some random direction. And this is exactly what's happening to this tiger here. A lot of these gray hairs are just kind of going all over the place. Just, I mean, they're such divas, these gray hairs. They just want to be seen. They're like, hey, look at me, look at me. But I'm cool with it. I earned my gray. Actually, I think the past months, my gray is gone. I've gotten a lot more gray. I feel like Barack Obama. I don't know if you remember his presidency. I think there is some meme or something where they looked at Barack Obama at the start of his presidency, and he had this like luscious head of black hair, and then every year that went by, it was like more and more gray. You know, the stress of being a president, right? No, thank you. Yeah, seen my share of stress this year. So I feel you, Mr. Tiger, or Mrs. Tiger. Or however this tiger identifies. I understand the gray hairs. We persevere, though. You know, I'm okay with the right side. I may add a little bit more lighter hairs. Like warm and light. Right here. Because I like how that kind of sets off a little bit in the reference. But after that, I think I'm gonna say it's done. You know, until we go back and add in all the whiskers and stuff after all this is dry. Oh, and I think at some point, the top of the head, which you can't see right now, it's off the top of the stream. At some point, I'm going to darken up some areas so that shock of sunlight shows a bit better. Hey, here's a question for you, Thinker. Is my voice cutting out at all? Is there any kind of like weirdness with the audio now that I've changed the setup a bit? That I'm sending a lot more data your way? That's probably the visuals are important, but the audio I think is vastly more important. It's kind of odd, being an artist and doing a live stream, saying that the audio is more important, but it is. Because the explanation is really where it's at. Anyone can anyone can buy the tools. Anyone can get started, but explaining how to move through it, how to go from A to B, how to use the tools. Oh, audio is fine. Thank you. I think that's the most important. I think I had talked about that when we were doing the digital part of this. When you get started digitally, don't go and buy a million different brushes. Like like I did. I definitely did. I was like, well, I need to get this brush because then I'll be able to paint like that person. Completely repeated the mistakes that I made with traditional art. It's no different digitally or traditionally. You buy the materials like that I suggest for you to buy. It is not going to get you to paint like I paint. If you buy anything, make sure that it comes along with a big explanation, or in-depth explanation of how they use it in some way. That's why I like digitally. I like David Revoy's brushes. Because you can watch a really in-depth video on how he uses everything. That's the most valuable. Actually, that's one thing that I would really like to do with these streams is, because there's so many artists that I admire, tremendously. And what you miss is, you learn a lot by watching more than, the demonstration is where you learn the most. Then someone just, like you go to a university and they just tell you how to do things, but they don't demonstrate. A lot of times, there's so many subtle things that we can pick up just by watching them do. So maybe creating something that goes just that in depth would be nice. Okay, I'm going to call the first glazing layer of the tiger head complete. Let me do this. I'm going to... And another cool thing is when I change menus, you actually see what I'm doing on here. Which is not very cool. It's an, the... and what's going on with the HDMI connection. There you go. So that's the full painting. The other thing I'm going to do is get a zoom lens for this camera so that I can zoom in and out a lot easier for you. I had to change the crop ratio. Yes, I know about crop ratios now on cameras. I'm an artist. I know all this stuff. Just so you could see the whole thing. Thinker, you say, I'm still thinking. No. Really? That because of the light on the left cheek, there should be a little more detail underneath that light patch. I really like the ref in that area. Yeah, I can see what you mean. I think what I want to do with that side and with the rest of the head at least is let it dry and come back with other glazing layers, honestly. There's so much of it now that is dry and not dry that I feel like it, you know, if I could let everything just dry and then oil it out again, I would get a better understanding. And I think that if we did another layer on this head, it would take no time, really, in my opinion, because I could oil out the whole thing. I could darken up, you know, this kind of center area a little bit over this, you know, the local color here, so the shock of sunlight comes out. I could add more detail here and there, add the whiskers in as well. Probably all in one go, because that's all I see that would be an issue. Or that I would want to change. You know, more may come up as we go further. And I'm getting further away from the reference in some places. Like I darkened up over here, which is different than the reference. And I think that's fine. It's kind of taking on its life, its own life, its own thing. But you're right, there's certain pieces of the reference, like this does, I mean, it looks really dull right now, but I don't want to mess with it because it's getting hazy, honestly. I've had a lot of dark color down there, and I've put light color over it, so I'm getting this kind of haze going on. So I want to let it dry. I want to oil it out, see where it's at, and then go into it after that. And it might be a thing where I affect the values through saturation rather than value. Okay, we're moving down the tiger body. And I believe my camera's a little bit too close now, but that's okay. I will mess with that afterwards. But always, thank you for your feedback, Thinker, and anybody. I do take it to heart. And I think you're right. I don't like that area. And I'm not sure if it's because the paint is half dry and dull now, or if it's because it just needs that, you know, more detail. So here's what we're gonna do now. We're going to move down the tiger. Yay, finally! And I'm getting out a bigger brush, a number 2. No, not a lot bigger. And I'm gonna oil out a big area. I'm pretty sure that I oiled out. Yeah, some of that, but some of it I didn't, so. There's some paint that I'll move around because I was painting down here yesterday. And that is okay. Again, I'm using a refined linseed oil, putting it on here as thin as I can get it on. Just one brush full will cover a large area. Then this is a small brush as well. Yeah, not a number 2. It's so huge. One day I'll challenge myself and I'll just go straight, like, really big bristle brush, start to finish. That'll be for some of those smaller paintings that I want to do on stream. All right, what's cool about this is we have some cool and warm colors. What's very interesting about this is we have orange here and orange on the left side. The only part that's really intense is where this light hits it, and that's it. The rest of it needs to come down in saturation, especially this orange, these oranges on either side. The values there look pretty good. That saturation needs to come down. I'm going to remove some of this. I just love that. Look how easy that is to clean, you know, a big chunk of your palette off. Do what you can to get a glass palette. It's in a pack of, you can get like 200 razor blades for like $5. And they will last you the rest of your life. Like, I remember 10 years ago plus, I got a pack of like, no, I didn't even get a pack of razor blades. I think I got, no, I did. I got a pack of like 50 razor blades. I'm still using those razor blades today. I haven't got through them yet because I go months on one razor blade. Doesn't need to be sharp, just needs to be pull paint off. All right, let's shut up, Chris, and get to painting. I need an orange that is not too intense. That is of the same value. And of course, this camera's cutting off now. Let's see if that does it. Don't worry, the palette will come back in a moment. It's taking a nap. Sorry, that camera needs a lot of naps. It's an old camera. It's a Canon SL1. Come on, you can do it, buddy. You can come back. Do I need to turn you off and on again, like Windows? I think so. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so this is just burnt umber, a little bit of transparent earth orange, some white in here to get that gray, or kind of gray, you know, not gray, but subdued orangish color. Neutralized orangish color. Sometimes my brain forgets words. I'm sure you guys never experienced that. I think that's a universal thing, right? Okay, that's too dark. And it's too intense. So let's lighten it up with white because that will make it brighter, lighter, and bring down the intensity because it's a blue. White is a blue, remember that. Always, white's a blue. No, it's not, it's a white. It's a blue. That's like sunlight. People think of sunlight as being this very warm thing, and it is in some situations. Dawn, dusk, sunrise, sunset is very warm. Gets into pinks and all kinds of beautiful colors. But at noontime, sunlight is as blue as you can get. Like 6,500 Kelvin. It's way up there on the Kelvin scale. So white is blue. It helps me remember you know, what white will do to paint. If you have a warm color, you need to lighten it and cool it off. White works well for that. And it gets you away from just using white to lighten up everything. Don't use white to just lighten up everything. You know, make a concerted effort to go through the questions that I always keep repeating. Does it need to be lighter or darker? Does it need to be more saturated, less saturated? Does it need to be closer to a reddish color, like warmer, or a bluish color, cooler? And that will, I mean, you're asking the 3 questions of the 3 principles or properties of color. And you're doing it in order. Value, saturation, hue. Because you're going to be pretty close to the hue at the beginning. Trying hard to move quickly through this with my huge brush. There's not a lot of texture that I need to add here. What I want to do is desaturate a lot of the orange in the tiger right now. At least the orange is down here. I'm still watching the values here though. The values are the most important, always. I am going over the stripes, the tiger stripes as well, and I will bring those back. But I'm also seeing a lot of these wonderful purples and magentas that are happening in places here. And if I can get the value on, which that is not, the value correct, you know, the same as what I'm putting it over. These intense colors will look really cool. They will look very nice, very interesting. They will add a lot of life to the painting. I use the word cool too much. I use it as, you know, a descriptive word. Well, I mean, like a verb and an adjective. My English is correct on there. For some reason, I have a very hard time figuring out what the difference of those things are. Ugh. That's one thing I will always promise you guys, that I will always be honest and show you the very quick limits of my intelligence. I really don't like putting on airs. Oh, I know everything. Oh, are you kidding me? Alright, so I'm going to work on the sunlight, the splotch of light that's down here. So we're getting more intense now. I do want to bring this in. So it's orange on the outside because the local color, I guess, out there is orange. So we're going to make some intense orange here. And it's not going down for some reason. Come on. Stick to the canvas. Need some thicker paint. And then we can get into the more pale orange because it goes over a local color that's white. Well, at least that's what I'm seeing up there. It's more of a very pale orange. I have to watch the value because I don't want it to compete with what's above. Yeah, and the value comes way down compared to what's up there. So it's a high value compared to what's around it, what's relatively what's around it down here, but it's much lower than the highlights that are up above on the top of the tiger's head. I'm going to switch brushes. This brush is annoying me. I'm going to try my other number 2. I have several of these in here. Now this is the one that's splayed out a lot, which is good. That's good for a different application. Here we go. I can get a sharp edge with this guy. It's a newer brush. Okay. Okay, for this brush, I'm going to go right into the blue with it. This was the one that I just put down. And the whole chest of the tiger is very kind of bluish purple. Bluish purpley gray. Hopefully I didn't just destroy that value with too much white. Let's see. No, it's fine. That's not too bad. Could go a bit darker. Or at least have some darker possibilities within it. This gray is coming in handy right now. And there's 5:30, 1 hour into the stream. I want to get some of this down first. A general idea around here, so I'm going to go even faster, just throwing down a bunch of stuff. out of my comfort zone. Oh my gosh, going really fast. Putting down a bunch of color right away. I'm actually gonna lighten up all of the stripes that are down here, at least where I'm working right now. I'm gonna smooth out a lot of things down there as well. Keep it a little bit lighter right now because with glazing, it's better to be too light and then go to dark. That's the error that I made up there with the left side of the cheek. I went too dark and then I have to come back lighter with it and it doesn't look as good. It gets hazy with these glazes. It's better to start out light and then go to dark. Actually, my brain. Not talking too much right now. No talk. Painty. Keep painting. I think the more I do these streams, the more the real me kind of comes out, where I'm just being kind of ridiculous. 47-year-old guy being ridiculous, right? Grow up. No thank you. No thank you. I added a bunch of teal in there. Well, not a bunch. I added teal in there. I won't lie to you. I didn't add a ton, but I did put teal in there. Because I think it looked good. Now there is going to be some adjustment of this on tomorrow's stream. But I think for the most part, that area we filled up pretty quickly. I'm going to step back. Actually, let me change up as soon as I get a different lens so you guys are able to not see what I'm doing here. See if I can step back, and then I can also zoom out for you guys as well. That'd be kind of nice. Now you need a 2-inch brush loaded with teal. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I knew that the body would move along pretty quickly, and it's starting to move along a lot faster. Like right away, covered a huge area. And you know, my tendency to get too detailed, I'm going to try and put at bay throughout the rest of this painting, honestly. Especially in the background. It's going to be very, very fuzzy. The rest of the tiger will have the most detail, and the palm fronds. The background won't be that detailed, but yeah, just a little bit more detail in the chest area that we just worked on. Mainly to bring those stripes back in on tomorrow's session. But that will, basically what I'm trying to do right now is establishing like the working, you know, how I'm gonna work the tiger from top, you know, from the body down, you know, the rest of the body. And I think this is working well. Maybe a little bit more detail closer to the head because to blur it out too quickly will separate the head from the body way too much. So I need to bring in, you know, a better shadow shape, honestly, where the head's kind of casting a shadow. Right now it looks like it's kind of levitating off the head. It's a little bit dark for you guys. Let me see if I can bump it up one. Yeah, some adjustments, but for the most part, I'm extremely happy with this. Yeah, very happy. Okay, well that's it for today, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, or the wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for joining me.